So Kieran's been practicing this accent for a little while, and I think he's finally perfected it. Go ahead, Kieran.
Boo. Well, you're disturbing me. That's how I start. Swearing, bias, opinions on this podcast. Thank you. Yeah.
Reasons to stay indoors.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to 250 Reasons to Stay Indoors. I'm Jordan,
I'm Keiran.
and this is the podcast where we watch the IMDb top 250 films. We say whether they're good or not, and we let you know whether it's worth spending indoors time for or not.
Good, cool.
So this week we're going to be watching Room, not The Room, Room. And Kieran, what is it? What are the stats?
Number 146 on the list, and it came out in 2015.
2015. So hopefully those damn movie makers have made up their mind about how to make a good film by now. So, Kieran, what do you think it's going to be about? Presumably a room of some sort.
Yeah, you made very, very clear that it wasn't The Room, and I had to ask you what the deal was, and then so you showed me a few highlights of The Room.
Yeah, because Kieran had never heard of The Room.
And The Room is some of the most horrific and cringy, awkward film and acting stuff. Like,
I still haven't watched it. I really want to watch it, but I don't want to watch it on my own, and I've never got a viewing party going on because I think it's such a weird film that you can't just watch that on your own. You need to watch that with others.
I would have to be quite inebriated to watch that film.
I feel like being inebriated would make that film a lot better.
For me, it would make it bearable, but
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do things that require me to be drunk in the first place for me to do them.
Yeah,
So-
you're quite an outstanding fellow.
But, well, thanks. But in any case, just the film Room,
Yes.
released 2015, I have a feeling that it's going to be quite scary.
Okay.
Yeah. Not looking. So I had two different things. Just looking at the name, I was like, okay, I have a feeling that it's going to be just a scary film about stuff that happens in a room. And everything happens in just this one room.
Right. Yeah.
It's like it's that kind of.
It's like that film is like Devil in a Lift or something. It was like
Yeah,
all took place in a lift.
And there's other ones where like someone's just in a coffin like for a whole film.
What?
Yeah, there was this film
That
that was
sounds
like
cool.
someone was like buried alive and then they're in a coffin and they're trying to get out. It's a horror film and blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Blah. Yeah, so same thing but for like a room. And then but then I saw the poster and it looks a lot more cute than that. So I'm hoping that it's going to be like a lot of memories in a room.
Right. I think it's actually going to be like a rom-com. Well, not
Yay!
a rom-com, like a romantic drama.
Even better.
About like a couple making room. As in like, they're two, like room for each other, or they need room.
Jordan.
You know what I mean?
That's so nice.
Well, no, but it could also be sad, couldn't it?
But that's also nice in a way.
Yeah. So I think it could be. I'm trying to go against my stereotypes of going for horrors or going for I don't really go for dramas, do I?
People killing.
Yeah, I would never normally hope. Well, I don't necessarily hope it's going to be that, but I'd never normally go for that. So I'm gonna spin a wild card. And,
Okay. Spin a wild
I'm going to
card.
spin a wild card, as I say, and I'm going to say that it's going to be like a romantic drama.
Okay, so we'll see you after we've spent some time in room.
Yes, in room, not the room.
All right.
And we're back with a couple of fast sports. Fast sports.
Being a child.
Claustrophobic.
Abuse.
TV.
Crime.
Mother.
Shitty granddads.
Bad men.
Good doctors.
Good dogs.
Imaginary dog.
Space.
Presents from strangers.
The final frontier.
Goodbye room. Why did you say the Final
I
Frontier?
don't know. I was doing a Star Trek thing.
Okay.
Let's finish that now.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Okay, so Kieran, are you ready with your 15-second pitch?
I am ready with my 15-second pitch.
3, 2, 1, go.
There is a guy who realized he's 5 years old and his mum has been trapped in a room for 7 years. She got kidnapped and they escaped from the room, and it's all about them getting reused to normal life.
13 seconds. I didn't expect you to stop there, and it's fairly easy to sum up, isn't it? The film,
It is
really?
fairly easy to sum up, but I was really surprised when you went 3, 2, 1 that quickly. So,
okay.
so that's what kind of shook me. I
That
was
was my
formulating it in
intention.
my head before that point, and then it all splurged out in one. Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
A little bit too graphic.
okay.
So let's
Synopsis?
do a synopsis.
Yeah. Let's go.
Room.
Room is the name of the place where they live, and Joy is the mum.
Jack was born in the room. He's 5 years old. Like, it starts on his birthday. And yeah, he's never known anything outside of this room, which is a small like shed. I think it's like 10 by 10 meters or 11 by 11. Like, it's just very cramped.
No, 10 feet by 10 feet.
10 feet.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Which is significantly smaller than 10 meters by 10 meters. So basically, they're in this tiny little room, and they're all they have of the outside world is skylight, and they have a sink, and they have bed, and they have floor, and all of these different things.
I don't know why she doesn't put the in front of anything.
Because she characterizes them. Because if you characterize things and you personify them, then it allows it to be what it is, and as opposed to it being one of the thing. If you have one of the thing, then it alludes to there being others. Whereas if it's just one,
Oh yeah,
then there's just one.
very perceptive.
So thank you very much. Now, we essentially, what happens in the first hour of this film, I think it's the first hour anyway.
Yep.
Is it's about them living their life in room
Yeah.
and trying to get out of room.
Mm-hmm.
The things that happen is we see that Old Nick is the name that they've given for the man who has kept them captive here.
Yeah.
He is the only person who knows the code for the door that goes out into the garden.
Yeah.
And Joy is she is abused to keep this all quiet, and she's not allowed to say anything whilst the door is open, and she's not allowed to obviously look at the code.
No,
and stuff
she's
like
allowed to talk.
But she started saying things when the door was still being closed, and he was like, "You know the fucking rule.
Oh right, okay.
Don't say anything whilst the door is open."
Joy never lets Jack see Old Nick. Like, she doesn't.
Or Nick see.
Yeah, she doesn't want Old Nick to have anything to do with him. Old Nick is Jack's father, but obviously Jack is a child of rape. So she puts Jack to bed each night just before Old Nick will come in. She puts him in the wardrobe because he's small enough to fit in there. And then when Old Nick leaves, she like carries him into the actual bed. One night after Jack has been given a present by Old Nick,
Because it was his birthday.
Old Nick like offers him a chocolate bar whilst he's in the wardrobe, and Brie. The actor is Brie Larson. I keep getting that confused. Joy is like, get away from him, blah 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 blah. So he takes off his coat and whatever, and sleeps with Joy.
Yeah.
And Jack is just like looking at the coat because I think he wants the chocolate bar or whatever. So he's like,
So they're fully
Leaning.
asleep as opposed to having sex.
yeah, it's later at night, and Jack is still up. Like, he wakes himself up with the toy car, and he goes for the chocolate bar, and then he sees Old Nick, and he's sort of fascinated by him. So he walks over to him, but for some reason, Old Nick wakes up and looks at him, and he's like, "Hey there!" And Joy is just like,
Don't look at him.
flips out, screams, is like, "Don't look at him!" And then Old Nick is like, he like grabs her by the neck and
Chokes her.
yeah.
Restrains her and all this stuff.
Yeah, so the power is cut the next day as a punishment for that. And it's also when Joy sort of decides to tell Jack the reality of things. She says, "You're old now. You know about you're old enough to understand the world."
Because they also watch TV, and they have this little TV that's got a shitey signal. And Jack the things that are in his reality are the things in room, and everything else is on TV. So before this point, it was, is it TV real or is it real? So for example, me and you, mum, or ma, as he says, we are real, like for real. But all the people on TV, all the cartoons and everything, they are TV real.
Yeah.
But he's starting to learn at this point that things so she's trying to explain to him that things actually exist in the world.
Yeah.
And that there is a whole world outside of it. There's not just space, which he's starting to understand from he understood about space through the skylight. But
Yeah, because all he can see is the sky. So he literally thinks that the room is the world and outside of the room
It's
is
just
space.
yeah. So he and old Nick brings us things by magic.
Yeah.
And TV magic, but Joy's like, no, TV magic is not real, and shatters his whole reality and all of his brain with this new idea. And also, he had this imaginary dog called Lucky, and Joy is like, no, you made him up in your head, and she makes him cry, and it's really sad. But what's great about this next thing that happens is that they're getting punished because there's no hot at all. But she comes up with this idea of educate.
You're doing it now. There's no hot.
Yeah. That's the way they say it. So there's no hot, and so she realizes that this is an opportunity to try and get them to escape.
Sorry, can we try and do the rest of the podcast without using the word the?
That's a great idea.
Okay,
that's a great idea. Cool. Or the rest of the synopsis, or the rest of synopsis, or
rest of synopsis. Yes.
Okay.
And rest of podcast.
Just rest of podcast.
Rest of podcast.
No problem. So, where was I? Okay, so Joy realizes that best way to escape from room is to make Jack seem really, really ill.
Yeah.
And way that we're going to do that is to make Jack's head hot.
Yeah.
So she puts hot on Jack's head.
With flannel.
With flannel.
With a flannel.
Yeah, with a flannel.
with a hot flannel.
Oh, we can replace a with a loophole. Not all the time. Not all time. Shit. So old Nick comes back and he's like, what fuck's wrong? What fuck's wrong with him? And Joy's like, what hot was gone. And so Jack is ill. Take him to hospital. They didn't talk this
and old Nick, yeah, no, of course. And old Nick is like,
I'll bring some meds.
I'll bring some meds tomorrow. And Joy is like, no, he needs to go to hospital. And Jack and old Nick's like, I'll bring stuff tomorrow. And he leaves. And Joy's like, fuck, okay. So we fucked it. And
so next day. Jack continues to learn about worlds and continues to learn about reality from TV and reality from other people in TV. I was trying to stop myself from saying other, but because the word is in other, but it's fine. It's just word other. Oh my god! And so at this point, Joy realizes that a great way to escape from room is to make Jack play dead, because he would have died from being ill the night before. He got even worse and he wouldn't wake up, and so now he's dead.
Yeah.
And so they practice rolling him up onto rug on the floor. This is harder than it seems, and it's really very, very stressful. But
yeah, they practice Jack getting out of rug and like wriggling, and Joy is like, so you wait for stop signs, the truck stops, you wriggle, stand up, jump out, and then she gave him a note, and
the note
and
says
said help, and yeah,
give,
and she also tells him her name. Joy. She says, "You say my ma's Joy Neeson," and so anyway, this happens. Old Nick comes in. She's crying over the rolled up rug, and she makes him promise that he won't look at him because obviously, I mean, Jack is alive, but she says, this is your fault. You need to promise me that you won't look at him.
And old Nick's like, are you sure he's dead? And
am I sure?
And she's obviously very, very.
Am I sure?
She's acting like a badass and being like, who fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
By asking mother of child if child is dead.
Yeah. So anyway, Nick grabs Rug, puts Rug in truck, and drives off. And we get this scene, and it starts to get so tense. We're just like watching as stop signs happen, and then there's one, and
he finally stops as opposed to rolling into a stop.
Jack starts wriggling out. He's getting out, and you're like, okay. And he jumps out, but old Nick has seen him, and Nick gets out the car as well, and he's coming after him.
Jack is stumbling,
and
but we see another person.
Yeah, he runs towards a man with a dog, and he's not saying anything. He doesn't say anything, and then Jack, old Nick grabs Jack by the hand, and he's pulling him by hand and pulls him.
Says everything is fine,
and he's trying. And Nick and Jack are very close names. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
And Jack is trying to give this letter that his mum gave him, and the guy's like, "What you got there for me, boy?" and whatever. And eventually, basically, old Nick realizes shit's happening. He's like, "Mind your goddamn business," and just walks off, runs off, gets back in his car with
Jack.
Yeah, abandons Jack. And then obviously the police come. We get this whole scene where there's a police officer in the back of the car with Jack. And I can't be able to do the thing now. It's just
I can't it's putting too much stress.
So yeah, he's in the back of the car with the police officer, and the police officers. I feel like I'm saying a lot of those now.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just a relief,
just to make it
release. Yeah, and she's slowly getting out of him, but he's literally seeing the world for the first time, so he's just stunned and can barely say anything. And he says, he's able to tell her that he got out after the 3 stop signs, and he also
he says it slowed 3 times and everything shook or something like that.
Yeah. And he also has in his mouth Ma's tooth, because Ma had a bad tooth and he wanted to keep a part of her. So he has her DNA sort of thing. So they're like, okay, cool, right, we can work this out. And eventually they do find it, but old Nick has disappeared. But they managed to get Joy out, and the two are reunited. And then that's the first hour of the film, and the second hour of the film is just Joy's reintegration with society and Jack's integration with society, because obviously he hasn't had any
ever
of that.
Been. So they're in hospital for a while. They're trying to work out how to. Because she just wants to go home. She just wants to go see her mum and her dad. It turns out that whilst she's been disappeared, and I guess presumed dead or something like that, they divorced, actually, which is kind of peak. And the mum has a new boyfriend in this time. They are dealing with lawyers because the press wants a piece of this story because it's such a massive story for the media. But Jack and Joy just can't be dealing with it, that they're not ready emotionally at all in any way. So they eventually go back to Joy's mum's place, and Joy's dad was a dick and can't even look at Jack.
Yeah.
So he flies back, and we don't see him for the rest of the movie because he's presumably being a dick. There's dealings with a couple scenes with lawyers and a couple scenes with doctors where we're understanding that they're going through a lot of legal and public process with this whole thing, because everyone wants a piece of them, but they just kind of want to recover. Joy is facing she's battling with thinking that she's a terrible mum, and she is she's on the surface very traumatized, and Jack is learning so much. He's sponging in so much information about toys, and he gets a friend, and eventually after a while, because they had a dog in Joy's mum's place, and it was Leo's dog, but they got rid of the dog.
Leo's the boyfriend of
Joy's
mum.
They got rid of the dog because the Joy and Jack's immunity.
their immune system was down.
Right, so they needed to kind of rebuild some stuff, and after a while, Leo's dog comes, and what's Leo's dog's name?
Fuck.
I can't
So
remember.
it's 2 syllables. Some sort.
Yeah.
Bumsmum.
No, so
Smum.
Smum comes in and
Yes, Smum.
Smum. That's not a terrible name for a dog.
Smum.
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 How do you spell that? SMUM?
Yeah, Smum.
With a dash in between, or
No, just Smum.
Smum? Okay, so
S-mum.
and so Jack is learning shit tons, and there's a few scenes where like Joy is arguing with her mum all about like, you've got no idea what's going on in my head, and Joy's mum's like, you don't tell me anything, and it's really emotional, and Jack's having a shit time. He's clearly still traumatized when people start shouting, and he starts exhibiting things of trying to like crawling in a ball and trying to stay safe.
But ultimately, when they get out of the room, in terms of like their what's it called, like their recovery kind of thing, you could call it, Jack is just steadily improving throughout the whole thing. He starts off really shit because like he has no idea what's going on, but he just keeps learning, and he's such a positive child. He just does so well, and you know, he like, so Jack has really, really long hair throughout the whole thing.
Because he's never had a haircut.
Now, Joy, I'll come back to the hair thing.
And that's where his strong is.
Yeah, that's where his strong is. Like Samson in, I think it's a Bible thing.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, because he says at the start, he's like, I'm like Samson. This is where my strong is. So Joy doesn't do so well. She gets out and it's great, but she just steadily declines. It's almost like a PTSD sort of thing. She can't cope.
It's absolutely that.
It's this the fact that she's like looking at pictures of her old friends, and she's like, nothing ever happened to them. Like, why? Sort of like a why me, and also blaming her mum, and just like she just can't cope with what has happened to her. She's had to be really strong, and now she's out. It's like the walls have fallen down. Mm-hmm. So she actually tries to kill herself. She takes loads of drugs, and like Jack finds her, like he hears her like at night and wakes up, goes to the bathroom,
choking on her own vomit.
Yeah, and she's choking on her own vomit. So she goes to what we presume is probably like rehab or something.
Yeah.
And Jack just keeps improving, and we get this scene where Jack speaks to his grandma, and he's like, "Grandma, have you got any scissors? Can you help me? I need to cut my hair." And she's like, "Why do you need to cut my hair?" And she's like, "I need to send it to Mum because she needs my strong." And
my heart.
So yeah, Jack cuts.
Heart.
It was pretty touching. Jack cuts his hair, and that is essentially what sort of helps Joy recover, because she sees that Jack is like doing well, and she needs him as much as he needs her, sort of thing, and all that. So she comes back. They're reunited, and you just see after that, from then on, they're like just tackling everything together and steadily doing better. They go outside and they're doing things and eating new foods and all of this, and like Joy is showing Jack the world, and sort of that's how it ends.
It finishes with Jack saying, "Can we go visit room again?"
Oh yeah, sorry, of course, yeah.
And Joy's like, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Just to visit." And because for a couple times after they were out of room, he said, "I want to go to sleep in wardrobe again."
Yeah.
And Joy kind of gently breaks. She's not like, "We're never going back," but she's saying, "This is where we sleep now."
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to shatter everything else so quickly, because he's just getting accustomed to new things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but she accepts that they're going to visit. So they go back, and the door is open. Jack goes into a room, and he looks at it, and he's like, "Did it get shrinked or something like that?"
Yeah, did it get shrinked?
Did it get shrinked? And Joy is like, "No." It was kind of as if to say it was always like this.
And he's like, "Oh, it must be because door is open."
Yeah. And she's like, "Do you want me to close door?"
And he's like, "Nah." No. And then he goes round to the room, and he basically says bye to everything. He's like, "Bye bed, bye chair one, bye wardrobe,
bye sink,
bye toilet," and all of this. And sorry, I'm just remembering the bit where he's like, there's bits where we get narrations from Jack where he's talking about stuff, and then there's like, he's like, "My name's Jack, and I'm 5 years old, and I'm really strong." And he's like, bath is where we go to wash, and toilet is the best at eating poop. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So like he's like, have to say bye to room, and it's like Jack getting closure and ending that chapter, and then we just see Joy like mouth the words bye room, and then that's the end.
By the way, they catch him. They
catch him.
Yeah. There we go. Oh.
Yes, end of film. Apparently, the Brie Larson actually like kept herself secluded in a room for a month before doing this with no internet or phone.
Jesus.
And she thought herself quite an introvert and thought it would be quite good, but apparently, by the last week, she was just constantly crying and like in just a constant depressed state.
I think being by yourself is different to having a kid there, because she did say, so by the way, there was an interview that she ended up doing an interview on telly.
Yeah, fucking what a bitch of an interviewer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like she just went in on Joy, saying things like,
did you not think about sending him to a hospital so that he could have a normal childhood? And she was like, but he had me. And she said, and this interviewer said, but is that really the best for Jack?
Yeah.
As if to make her out to be a terrible mum. It's like, and I was just hoping that,
are you ever going to tell Jack about his dad? And she's like, he doesn't have a dad. And it's like, well, no, the biological relationship's like that. There is no relationship. Jack is no one's but mine.
Yeah.
And it's just, ugh.
I was really hoping that Joy would be like, what the fuck would you have done?
Yeah.
What would you do?
But that was really kind of what set off the spiral, wasn't it? Like that interview, like she was already in a shit state, but that really just, I think after that, she tried to kill herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any beefs?
I do have some beefs.
Oh, okay.
I felt like when she was telling him all of the information when they were still in the room, and when she ended up being like, lucky you made him up in your head, I just felt like that got too deep. And it did get too deep because he started crying. And I felt like that was a bit too much all in one go.
It was a lot, wasn't it? Like she just basically went, Jack, you're 5 years old. Everything you know is a lie.
Yeah. It was a bit
Can you
heavy.
imagine?
Yeah.
You imagine if like at 5 years old, your mum turns to you and goes, this isn't actually the world. If you just open this little door, there's like fucking tons of shit.
Because when you grow up, like a whole thing about growing up is that you realize that things aren't the way that you thought they were before. And that's part of the beauty of like constantly growing, is that you realize more about things, and sometimes it can fuck your brain up, and sometimes it can be a wonderful revelation. But you get that over time, over years, and they're usually not as big as, oh, by the way, there's literally a whole universe outside of this door.
I mean, yeah, they're usually pretty small nuggets. Like when you told me that afternoon is because 12 is noon.
Yeah, I still can't believe, because you're a clever guy, Jordan.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're a clever guy, but for you to not know that 12 o'clock.
I just didn't know.
Middle
I just
of the
didn't
day.
know, Kieran. It
Okay.
shook my world.
Don't argue. Again, harking back to last week when we watched Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
Don't argue when your kid is there. Now, last week it was like it was in the next room.
God, yeah.
But
like,
there was a massive argument between Joy
and her mum.
And her mum, so Jack's grandma.
Yeah.
And that was a really intense argument. Especially when, now, the grandma she has the, as much as she has to be strong for Joy and everything, she's removed enough from the situation that she's able to observe both people, right? So she could have looked at Jack, seen that he was crawling in a ball and trying to just protect himself, and then said to Joy, freeze right now, let's take this outside, or I'm stopping this conversation right now because that's not okay. But what she did was like, look at him, you're doing this to him.
Yeah.
And that makes Jack feel terrible as well. Like that's traumatic for him.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand like why they would be having that argument. Like I can understand how Joy's mum could get wrapped up in it, because she has dealt with the fact that she thought she lost her daughter, and like Joy is basically saying everything was worse for me, and that may or may not be true, like, but that was taking away from the pain that Joy's mum was had, and like that she obviously felt quite like attacked almost. So it's understandable that she would like burst out and maybe not have as much control, but as you say, to point to Jack and be like, look at what you're doing to him,
that's wrong.
That's just one step too far.
Yeah, that's not okay. I feel like there's some things for, I mean, obviously I'm not a parent, So there's only so much that I know, and there's a lot that I don't know. But having been a kid, and I've always had a keen eye on parenting for like my whole life.
Well, you are a parent yourself.
What?
You are a parent yourself.
I as in I parent myself.
No, I mean, as you've got a 12-year-old child.
Jordan. I said at the start of this that I'm not a parent, and that would have made me a dad at 10 years old.
Yeah.
No. I don't think that's appropriate. After having watched this film, Jordan, I really don't think that's appropriate. I'm calling you out. No.
So just be a little bit silly.
But the whole thing of like there's certain things that I think kids should see. Because I was thinking about at what point is it okay to lie about things and to teach kids that honesty is always the way. But let's say, for example, let's say I've left my kid to eat some food, right?
Right.
But I know full well the kid gave that food to the dog, or the kid put the food in the bin, right?
Right.
And I say to the kid, "Did you eat that food?" And the kid's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" "Yes." "Are you lying to me?" "No." And that the whole thing, even though I know. Now I could make it really, really obvious and properly like put repercussions in place for them lying,
right?
And like really put a cold shoulder up until they tell the truth,
right?
That might be more traumatizing than the following, which is to allow them to continue with the lie and see how they feel about having told that one lie.
I don't get what you're trying
because
to do.
I feel like it's important for kids to understand the balance of lying.
Right.
So something like that. So what I'm saying is that within like arguments of seeing older people argue, seeing people lie, and seeing things that we wouldn't teach to kids, but stuff that just happens in the world. If you protect them too much, then they don't become aware of things.
Right.
Just see what I'm saying? Like something that I've been thinking about recently is that I haven't seen nearly as much violence as loads of other people have in the world, and so it gives me a very different worldview. And so it makes me completely unaware of when violence is about to happen because I just haven't seen much of it at all.
Really? I mean, I would have thought it's something that's quite innate to sort of be able to guess when something violent is about to happen.
There's
someone's like right up in your face shouting at you.
Okay, yeah, I know, but there's as in there were small triggers and body language things that I hadn't seen. And there were things that I was doing. There was a particular instance. I'm not going to go into it, but there was a particular instance where I was exhibiting body language, and the things that I was saying was unnerving someone,
right?
A stranger, and I was pissing him off. I didn't realize that what I was doing was having a reaction in him that would incur some violence.
Okay.
Whereas my friend, who was also there, he knows loads about fighting and about body language in terms of violence, and he was like, "You don't realize because you just haven't seen it." The same way that someone who doesn't know anything about lying or arguing will be extreme. They will shit themselves when people start arguing.
Yeah.
So there's a balance, you know. I'm just saying that was way too much.
Right.
The things.
Yeah.
So that went on a bit of a tangent, but anyway.
I think I had a bit of an issue with the whole immune system thing.
Okay.
I mean, they did address it, obviously, but I just feel like it's not just the immune system thing. It's the whole, like, specifically Jack, his integration into society. Like, if he's just been in a room, he has been exposed to nothing, like, in terms of, like, diseases and stuff like that. He's probably never had a cold. Like, he's, like, just completely untouched. The only stuff that he would have had is, like, what's passed to him from his mum when he, like, you know, from, like, birth and stuff
genetics
like that.
and stuff.
Yeah. So there's that. But also, just, like, I find it hard to believe that he could adjust to things as well as he did.
Well, you do see like when they're in the hospital, when he's doing one of his narration things about all the things that he's seeing in the hospital and the times they go walking and stuff, there is a quick snapshot of him getting an injection, which I presume to be a vaccination.
Yeah, but he was taking that, like, the fact that they could even do that, like, I don't know. It's not just that, it's just things like just being outside. I just feel like he would just blow his mind entirely. Like, actually have real damage, because that's such a massive thing to it's literally just like someone pulling the curtains away and there's like a whole, like, imagine if you could just see like a fourth dimension all of a sudden. Like, how do you interpret that? How do you make sense of it?
But as a 5-year-old kid, everything new is just new, as opposed to it being new but different to something that you've previously experienced. That's when it's harmful, because and kids do that all the time. When you tell them something, or there's a certain behavior, and when it's when you're doing a behavior that's now different to what it was, they're going to be uncomfortable with it. So, for example, like when he wanted to go back to bed, and he was like, I want to go back to normal bed as opposed to this bed.
Yeah.
You know? But when he sees everything that's new, he's just like, wow, 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 wow. And that's why I felt like Joy was more instantly traumatized.
Yeah.
Because she knew the whole time she was locked up in there for 7 years. Like, she was locked up for 2 years before giving birth to Jack, that there was a whole world outside of that room. So it's super, super fucked. But I think that there's a certain amount of stuff that he would have learned from telly, looking at people's different emotions and stuff. You know, looking at different human interactions on telly. But I do agree that it would probably be way more fucked than the way we were portrayed.
I mean, that's literally, as far as beefs go, like, that's it. Because I just have no issues with this. But yeah, go on.
When they were cooking with eggs not in room, but at the grandmother's house.
Yeah. When
Joy was in rehab, he was cracking all the eggs, and she was like, "Oh, you're well good at that." Then
you're well good at that, mate.
Yeah, you're well good at that. And he's like,
"Oh, fucking smashed it, Jack."
I did it a bunch, and well, that's how you get the yolk out, isn't it? Hey, thank you, sir. Then Leo knocks on the door with what was it, Smum's mum or Smum's mum?
I almost had it as well there. Seamus.
So
it wasn't even that far.
Yeah,
Seamus.
Yeah, we just took some of the vowels out and repeated it once.
Yeah.
So yeah, Seamus, and we fucking Jack is his name. Goes over to Seamus, and it's all cute and everything. But Jack's gran gives him just a towel, like a dishcloth. What's this a word for one of those things?
An apron.
No, I'm putting an apron in my kitchen.
Right, so
the thing on the oven.
Yeah, dishcloth.
No, there's a better word for it.
A towel, a napkin, a serviette.
No, why am I not finding the right word? Kitchen towel. No.
It's a dishcloth.
Yeah, I just never use that word. I never use dishcloth.
Can you pass me the dishcloth? It's dishcloth, Keiran. That's what it is. People know that.
Fucking hell. Jack's grandma gives him the dishcloth, and kind of he basically rubs his hands a little bit. But I was always taught, if you're handling eggs, wash your hands very thoroughly before touching anything else.
I literally had not done that until like the last sort of year and a half.
Oh.
I've never, ever considered that. Like, it makes sense. But also, I heard something recently that the chances of getting salmonella from eggs is actually really low.
But considering Jack and his immunity...
Yeah, but like, you're not immune to salmonella. No one is, surely. Like, that's not how it works.
No, as in his immune system. He's not immune to it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
and he's even
I'm
less
not sure.
immune to
I'm not sure. I feel like it's just like you get salmonella. Like, you don't... It's not like your body was able to fight it off, so you didn't get salmonella.
I don't know.
I think it's like you eat raw chicken, you get salmonella.
That being said, though, of all the things that he might be more immune to than others, eggs would probably be one of them, considering that he was consistently cooking with eggs in room. So I'll go back.
So maybe he did develop. Yeah, to be fair, that is something. Like, there are things from the outside world coming in, so he is being exposed to stuff from outside.
He could catch smallpox in an instant, but salmonella can fuck right off.
Right off, mate.
Yeah. All right, you got any bits and bobs?
I liked that he had to learn how to use stairs.
Oh.
Yeah, like there was some really nice little touches where stuff like that, where you things that you take for granted, and you think if he was in a room for that long, then yeah, obviously he's not going to know how to use stairs. Like, how do I go up? I've only ever been this. I've only ever been this level.
Well, he's climbed.
Yeah.
So at least it's not so much of a foreign concept.
Yeah.
You know, he knows about climbing and going down from things, but it's the constantly going up for ages and being so much higher up than he's ever been before, you know?
Yeah. I liked that they showed, he referred to them as Joy's gone days, when she was basically like just really depressed, and it made it clear that there are days when Jack is on his own because Ma will not come out of bed, and like you see like he's just eating like bread on those days and doing whatever he wants in the room because Joy can't get out of bed, and he like knows that, and he refers to it as a gone day. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Ma must have said that to him.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, Ma's having a gone day or something like that.
Mm.
So there's a moment where I think Joy is cooking in room, and Jack sees a little mouse.
Yeah.
And he tries to coax the mouse out again with a few more crumbs of the birthday cake. And he's looking at it, and he starts reaching out for the mouse. Joy launches like
an Argos catalog.
Yeah, it looks like that, across the room, and makes the mouse like fuck off. And Jack's really annoyed. You made mouse go away or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And at that point, throughout the whole first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, I'm eating soup.
Right.
And I've got this bowl of soup in my hands. She throws the Argos catalogue, and I fucking shit myself. Soup goes all over my crotch, all over the sofa, like all over the floor.
Man, you're
like,
a soupy boy.
Yeah, I still had like a fair amount of soup, so I wasn't completely distraught.
Okay.
But I had to pause the film like 10 minutes in to clean the soup off the sofa.
That's not a good start.
It's not a good start. And also, that was the first time I'd worn that pair of trousers in a while, and I was like, oh, I'm enjoying wearing this pair of trousers.
Yeah.
Soup all over it.
You often find that you're wearing an item of clothing and you go, I'm having a good time right now.
Well,
I'm enjoying this.
Because those are my autumnal trousers.
Of course, the autumnal selection.
Yeah.
Keiran Pearson autumnal selection.
Green.
Collection.
Yeah. Is what did you say?
Selection.
Well, yeah,
both works, but collection sounds better.
Indeed. So, but that was. There's one point. If there's one point you're going to shit yourself in this film, it's the point where she throws an Argos catalogue at the mouse.
Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. I've got a quote that I quite liked.
Okay, go ahead.
I know we don't really like to do quotes very often,
That's
but
right.
it's right at the start of the film where Joy's complaining about her tooth hurting, and she's like, and Jack's like, "Oh, your tooth hurting?" It's like, "Yeah, mind over matter though," and he's like, "If you don't mind, it doesn't matter." And I just fucking loved that. I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah,
this guy's cool. Like,
exactly.
He's so positive and just like looks at everything through the eyes of a child.
Yeah, exactly, because he is one. There's the whole thing of like you're 5 years old now, you can grow and you can look at this stuff. That was totally me, man. As in like becoming a big boy at 5 years old. that was my thing, because I like throughout the whole time of me being 5, if I wasn't allowed to do something before, I'd be like, "Mom, I'm a big boy now."
Yeah.
Yeah, and that really resonated with me of my mum being like, "You're a big boy now. You're 5 years old," and I think it's true. I think being a big boy is between 5 to like 9. 5 to 8 or 9 is being a big boy. You're definitely not a toddler, that's for sure.
I don't remember having any conversation like that. I do remember when I was maybe 12, something like that, and I started like actually caring about like not caring, but having some sort of idea of what clothes I wanted to wear and stuff like that.
Right.
I remember speaking to my mum. I was like, I don't want to just wear like a stripy top all the time, you know? Like sometimes I might want to wear something with like a guitar on it, or maybe I want to wear my top that has SpongeBob. Like, you know, I'm big now.
At 12 years old.
It might have been 12. That sounds quite old though, doesn't it?
Wearing a SpongeBob top,
like
at
8.
12 years old.
No, it wasn't SpongeBob, was it? I'm just saying stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was that I was watching back then.
But what I like
Power Rangers, Barney, Bear in the Big Blue House. Is
12
any of
years
this
old.
making sense to you?
12 years old.
Mate,
Jordan.
I was still 12 years old. That's just before or just after I went to secondary school.
Nah, you weren't watching that stuff at 12 years old.
I was watching. I was still on the kids channel on Sky. Like I was still looking at those.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. I just remember. I just realized that the whole being a big boy at 5 years old is a parent's way of saying you're not allowed to be dumb anymore, and you're not allowed to do stupid shit anymore.
Yeah,
so just let's start getting your act together, yeah, and then I can start calling you out on things. That's just basically
just
what.
Imagine your mum actually just having that conversation with you. Keiran, I'm not going to try and do the French accent.
Okay.
But yeah, your mum just being like, look, Kieran, you can't stop being a little shit.
Exactly.
Wait, you got to stop being a little shit.
You're a big boy now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look after your tinfoil and fucking make sure that you're getting all your shit done.
Exactly. Yeah. The line where he said, "I love you, Grandma."
Yeah, that was cute. Can we just talk about that, the escape scene, though? I was lying down when I was watching this, and then when the escape scene out of the truck, I was literally like on my knees in front of the TV, just
my
like,
God.
go, fucking say something, say help.
Yeah. Because I was so scared that Nick was going to see him in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
That's what I was fucking scared of. And then he'd stop way too early, like when they're on the train tracks or something like that.
Yeah.
Or next to the train station, and then he wouldn't be seen or something. And I was like, fuck. I could totally imagine that the whole film was going to be just them trying to escape.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I didn't read the little synopsis on
No,
Amazon
yeah,
Prime.
same. I thought that.
I deliberately didn't read that because I would have read, and I read it afterwards, blah, 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 blah. They escape, and it's about him learning about a new world.
Yeah.
So I would have known that they do escape, and there's stuff that happens afterwards. So I was thinking, fuck, what happens if old Nick just takes them back to the room, abuses Joy even more? Just, come on. Like, I know this whole world is new to you, but you can fucking do it.
When they escaped, I like paused the film, and it was like an hour in, and I was like, I'm really concerned because this is only an hour in. Like, they could very easily be captured again, or some shit could go down. I didn't think that was going to be like just I
swear if old Nick finds them, I'll flip out. I was really, really concerned. But then at the same time, there must have been like loads of police around their house for a while afterwards.
So who would you be in the film?
I'd be the grandfather, who we
Okay.
only see for a total of about 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Not
be
even that. Like, he's in it for maybe like 5. He really is. He's only there for like when they get out and then when they go back home.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
But he is a fuck. He is a proper fuck. Like, you're an adult, dude. You are an adult. You are a grown man.
Right, no, but I do want to speak in his defense to a degree. Like, I think it is valid that he would struggle, like, at least initially. Like, because Jack is like a symbol of and a memory of all of the times that like he has missed Joy, and like not only is he like a show of like what has changed for Joy, but he's also obviously a reminder of old Nick and the situation that his daughter was in, and he's probably thinking like that he's failed her. She was there all this time and he was never able to find her. He'd probably given up on her, and he's probably looking at Jack and seeing his own failure, which I think, to be fair, that you have to admit it's understandable that he would struggle to look at Jack, because that was the point. He couldn't look at Jack.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But no, you're right. He should have fucking dealt with it eventually. But
Yeah.
I just think, give him his due, maybe for a couple of days or shit, whatever. Like, you know.
Yeah, maybe it's because I've never been in a position where I literally can't look at someone because they're bringing so much of that back. But it's because it's like, it's a kid, and the kid doesn't know anything. He doesn't know the extent. Like, he knows that old Nick was mean.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, you know. There's a lot of stuff other than that, but he's been given a very simple version of events so that he can deal with it and he can process it in his own time whilst he's learning about the whole fucking world. And so I would have liked for the granddad to at some point, there's days between like when they were still in hospital and then they eventually come home. Like, that's a whole 10 days, right?
Is it?
Yeah. Because I remember her saying, or like there was a point where the doctor was over and the doctor was talking to Jack, and the doctor was, when the grandma came downstairs and she was like, I'm sorry. I was thinking that the doctor wanted to speak to her to try and get her to do some therapy or something like that. But the doctor, she came downstairs and was like, sorry, I can't get her out. And the doctor was like, don't worry, it's fine, blah, 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 blah. What is it? Only been 11 days or something like that?
Right.
And I was quite sure I overheard
okay, yeah,
that.
no, I do kind of remember that.
So what I'm saying is like, I think there was a period of like at least 4 days where she just wanted to go home whilst they were still in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then they went home, and then there was that meal. So during that time, as much as the granddad and the gran are divorced, and as much as they might not be getting on very well, and as much as the vibe might be difficult, what with there being the grandma's boyfriend, surely you would hope that he would realize, I've got to be there for my daughter, or I have to show something, or at least have the if it was me, where I'm struggling with all of that, if I was him, I would have tried really, really hard to say to Joy, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm having a really hard time looking at Jack because it's reminding me of all of my failures, and I want you to help me to be cool with him and to humanize him and everything, because I'm really struggling. I know. Well,
maybe he did want to have that conversation, but she put him on the spot, didn't she? Really, and it got quite escalated. She was like, "Look at him," and he's like he couldn't. It's just like, "Look at him," and it's like very on the spot. You have to deal with this.
But
what
I'm saying is like there was a point leading up to it.
Right.
Like there was times leading up to it where he could have had that conversation. And
yeah,
even
but
with the grandmother.
have you never been in a situation where you wish that you could have done something before it's sort of too late?
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, sometimes like when it's something that's difficult to like face.
Yeah.
Sometimes you put it off. Like, not you personally, like everyone like will put it off, and then it's too late, and then you're just like, why didn't I fucking deal with this already?
Yeah, deep. Who would you be?
There's not many people to be in this, is there? Really, there's not many characters involved.
Yeah.
I'd be old Nick and shoot my face off. No, like
the interviewer.
No, right. So yeah, it's linked in with the interviewer. I'd be their lawyer or whoever it is that's representing them, and field the questions before it gets to the interview, and make sure that Joy knows exactly what to expect, what's going to be asked. Because the interview is like, if there's any questions that you feel that you can't answer, then we can go past them. That's fine.
But once you've asked the question,
you've asked exactly like
the damage is done.
Yeah, exactly. So there should be a list of the questions. Like that's not something that is uncommon. That's definitely something that's done.
Sure.
A list of the questions that are going to be asked, and not only that, like just I'd make more of an effort to do things that could positively benefit them, because it felt like the lawyer basically was just like, look, there's going to be charges coming up, basically saying I'm not going to be doing this for free forever. Like, so you need to do this interview. And he kind of pushed them into it, because he was like, if you want to keep me, you're going to have to do this. And there's like going to be expenses that you need to pay. And I feel like he could have been a little bit more compassionate and figured out some other, other ways around not having to do that interview, or just things that are more emotionally less jarring.
I guess so. Maybe it was the best solution, because I wouldn't be surprised if he was initially thinking that she would go onto a TV program. So she would go to the studio, which is fucked. Like, there's no way that she's going to go there amidst everyone shouting and screaming and everything.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the best compromise after that. But I see what you're saying though.
Yeah.
If you were to bring someone in, who'd you bring?
So I would bring in the teacher from like Stars Among Us.
Like Stars on Earth?
Like Stars on Earth. And I would have a whole like portion of the film dedicated to Jack and that teacher, and the teacher sort of showing him, like healthily showing him and constructively like building up his knowledge of the world and how things actually work. Because there's a lot of stuff there that he's not going to know. Like by 5, I'm pretty sure I understood the concept of money, like and stuff like that. Like Jack's got no idea. How do you explain that?
Well,
like,
he might have seen it in films.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But I just think that would have been I could have really got behind that scene. That would have been really heartwarming to have like this montage of this teacher like coming in and showing Jack how to do all this shit and stuff. Or maybe even if it was just like a super, super duper cool therapist person that was doing it for both Jack and Joy, and you got both. Yeah, you got like running along each side, running aside.
Running along each other?
No, running along side by side.
Running alongside
each. Fucking yeah. So you just see them like both like, you know, working up and dealing with things.
Yeah,
I'd do that. Who would you bring in?
So I was initially thinking that Ishan from that film
Oh, okay.
would be a wicked person to bring in.
Pendas.
Exactly. So they would go and have adventures, the whole Pendas, and it'd be cool. I mean, a bit of a language barrier, but sure.
A total language barrier.
Yeah. So I think that would work in a way, but then I thought, hold on a second, maybe Jesua from Life is Beautiful maybe would have more in common.
Or even if it was just what's his name? The dad.
Oh, what was it, Joseph or something like that?
I can't remember.
So that's a good shout. Although, so he would be a good granddad, maybe.
Yeah. Pinchy Peza.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking the reason why Ishan not as good as Jesua is because Jesua, I think, has more joy in the world.
Yeah.
And also, Ishan, he's got his own difficulties that I think have their negative implications randomly. And
right.
I wouldn't want Jack to learn from those necessarily straight away. Because when kids learn about that in the context of other kids, then it gives them the experience of seeing that's some people, it's not everyone, and that's fine. But if it's the only person that they know, then they might think that that's everyone. So yeah,
I don't know. I think Jez is just like a normal kid, though.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
Okay.
So
okay.
Jez is just a normal kid. Bring Jez in.
So would you stay indoors?
Yes. Oh my god. But yeah.
I'm
deep.
I'm ready to watch it again, man. Like I love this film.
Time.
I thought it was brilliant.
I think I need some time. Yeah. I'm sorry to you, the listener, because this was not the funniest of episodes. But if you watch the film, it's hard to get a lot of humor from it.
But seriously, watch the film.
Seriously,
it's
watch
so
it.
good. Just brilliant acting.
Yeah.
Fantastic theatre.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to interrupt you, just to say it was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Wowee.
Okay, so next week, what are we watching, Kieran?
Next week, I can tell you that we are going to watch
Mama.
Jaws.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what that was.
check it out. Where can we watch Jaws, Jordan?
We can watch Jaws
on the internet. So check it out on the internet. Put Jaws into the internet.
Where can is it? It's not on Netflix, is it? I don't think it's on Amazon Prime either.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Go to your local Blockbuster.
Exactly. Go to your local Blockbuster and rent Jaws on DVD.
Not the Jaws.
Nice. Cool. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
I'm so pumped. That was such a great episode, wasn't it, Kieran?
That was so good.
I think we were operating at all cylinders.
All cylinders. Complete cylindrical.
All 7 cylinders.
Capacities.
All
of
flux
them.
capacitors.
And you can check out our cylinders.
Oh, can you now?
250 Reasons.
Or show her more cylinder.
On social media.
I don't really.
At 250 Reasons on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also listen to us, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Podbean, anywhere that you get your podcasts.
Listen now at the
places where you listen to things. And email your 15-second pitch to 250reasons@gmail.com.
Yeah, do it. Do it now.
Bye.